The Cubs are in town this weekend for a 4-game series, and the much anticipated MLB Draft is this Sunday evening, where our St. Louis Cardinals draft 7th overall, which I have been waiting for months. Welcome, everybody, to the Friday edition of Arch City Sports. Before we get started and get into everything, make sure to rate and follow if you're over there on Spotify. We really appreciate that. Like and subscribe if you're on YouTube, and of course, go follow on Instagram and follow on TikTok. I cannot thank you guys enough for the support that we've gotten on Instagram and TikTok. It has been so awesome to see. Almost 1,100 already on Instagram, followers wise, and also over 1,200 on TikTok already. You guys have been blowing up every single video and liking it up. I can't thank you guys enough for all of the support. We're going to give a recap and a reaction to the Cardinals and Royals series that we had earlier this week. We're going to take a quick look at the Cubs-Cardinals upcoming series this weekend, and then like I said, the much anticipated MLB Draft. I'm going to break down the top 4 guys that I really want us to draft in this draft on Sunday. But let's get it started with the Cardinals versus Royals. This series was supposed to happen on Tuesday and Wednesday, and the rain went crazy here in St. Louis on Tuesday, leading it to a doubleheader on Wednesday, which was supposed to be Sonny Gray and Andre Pallante, and then last second it ended up being Andre Pallante and Gordon Graceffo. Andre Pallante gave us 6 1/3. He gave up 4 runs, but let me tell you, all of those 4 runs came in the 5th inning. He was rolling through 4 innings, almost facing the minimum, and then gave up 4 runs in the 5th, and then got us through the 5th, got us through the 6th, and got us an out in the 7th inning. I see some of our comments kind of hating on Andre Pallante. The dude has a 4.20 ERA, and he's your 5th starter, and he's got you into the 7th inning. If Andre Pallante is doing that as your 5th starter, I have no complaints whatsoever. Now, if he's doing that as your 3rd starter, we will have a much different issue going on. But as your 5th starter, I have no issue with what Andre Pallante did. If he goes every single outing, gets us into the 7th inning, and gives us 4 runs, I will absolutely take it. Roy Croft followed him, giving up 2 runs. He's been so good out of the bullpen this year, and that really was unlike him. Paul Goldschmidt did have his 13th homer of the season. Alec Burleson with his 15th homer of the season, and Nolan Arenado with his 8th homer of the season. We did lose this one 6-4, leading into Game 2 of the doubleheader, the nightcap. Gordon Graceffo, the night before, was announced that he was going to get the start instead of Sonny Gray, moving Sonny Gray to Friday versus the Cubs. Gordon Graceffo went 3 1/3, giving up 3 runs on only 38 pitches. Matthew Liberatore followed him, kind of piggybacked off of him, split the start with him. He went an inning and 2/3, giving up 5 hits and 3 runs. Very unlike the very good Matthew Liberatore that we've seen earlier this year. He's been sharp in just about every outing. This was not like him. An inning and 2/3, giving up 3 runs. Not very good. Lars Nootbaar did go 2 for 4 with his 6th homer of the season, and we lose this one 8-5. Now, my takeaways from this series, I'm personally not looking too much into it. This is a Royals team that has surprised everybody this year, and yes, they've fallen off from their very hot start to the season. But this is a team with 4 All-Stars, an absolute superstar in Bobby Witt Jr. Salvador Perez is an All-Star. Seth Lugo, Cole Reagans. We didn't face either of those guys. We faced Waka actually in one of the starts. But this is a team that's scrappy, and they're in the middle of a playoff race in that AL Central. So I by no means am ruling, even coming to this series, I was not ruling out the Royals at all, even with how well we've been playing. Now, I wish we would have at least gotten one of them, but right when I heard Graceffo, and Graceffo was solid, 3 1/3, 3 runs, but instead of Sonny Gray, that's a very, very big difference. Why I'm not taking a whole lot out of this is because the Royals are good, but along with that, we have our 5th starter in Andre Pallante starting, and also our 6th starter, if you want to call him that, in Gordon Graceffo, that got the start. So if it was Sonny Gray and Lance Lynn giving up 5 runs or whatever each, like they did against Washington, and if they did it again, then we could be talking about maybe a more serious thing. But I'm not too worried about this 2-game series. I kind of just want to wipe it from our memory and move on. We have the off day on Thursday as I'm recording this late Thursday night. And let's really focus on dominating this upcoming series versus the Chicago Cubs, which we should with how the Cubs have been playing, and go into this All-Star break feeling really good about ourselves and our season. After that Royals 2-game doubleheader sweep that they had on us, that gives us a 48-44 record on the season with the aforementioned Chicago Cubs coming into town for a 4-game series. They are 45-49 on the season. They have not had a good season. They started off pretty solid, but fell off very quickly. And this is a team that's going to be selling at the trade deadline. I only see them going downhill from here, to be honest. And we have our top 3 starters starting in this series. Starting on Friday, let's take a quick look at it. Sonny Gray versus Liam Hendricks. Sorry, I don't know why I said Liam Hendricks. That's the reliever. Kyle Hendricks. And Kyle Hendricks has had our number for many years now. A 7.50 ERA on the season. But don't let that disguise you. This guy dominates us every single time he pitches. And so I want to say we have the advantage with Sonny Gray and our offense kind of clicking as of late and getting healthy. But Kyle Hendricks, like I said, has our number. So I'm calling that a 50-50 in that matchup. Lance Lynn versus Wesneski and the second game of the series on Saturday. That'll be a doubleheader with Kyle Gibson, and they have not announced to the Cubs have not announced who they're going to be starting in that one. And then on Sunday, Miles Michaelis versus Jameson Taillon. I give the Cubs the advantage in that one. Michaelis is hit or miss, and Jameson Taillon has had a very good season for the Cubs. If we win 3 games in this series, we will then be 6 games over 500 going into the All-Star break, and that is a tremendous spot to be. If you would have told me at the very beginning of the season how slow we started, that we would be 6 games over 500 going into the All-Star break, I would take it in an absolute heartbeat. Now, if we sweep them, we're 7 games over 500, which is an even better spot to be. But either way, we need to win this series, especially how that Royals series went. Last thing you want is to get swept by the Royals in a doubleheader at home and then lose 3 out of 4 to the Cubs going into the All-Star break and having that break. You want to go into that break feeling good about yourself, feeling positive like we were against the Nationals and the Pirates. But like I was saying, being 6 games over 500 is a very a mark that we need to be focused on going into this series, and hopefully we come out of the series feeling good about ourselves. But I will be recapping all of that on Monday's episode. Let's take a look at what I've been looking forward to for months now, and that is the MLB Draft. Now, why am I looking so forward to it? Yes, I watch every draft with my dad, but why is this draft even more special? It is because the St. Louis Cardinals draft 7th overall, and is the first time in my lifetime, and I'm 24 years old, that we've had a top 10 pick. That awful season that was last year. We have to get something out of it. And this is our chance to get something out of it with that 7th overall pick. Now, there's 4 guys that I have my eyes on. Being at the 7th pick, you have leverage because you can really make some decisions with who you have rather than having the 23rd pick. You have a lot more options being the 7th pick. Now, hopefully, this is the only time we have to draft this high moving forward. That would mean very positive and good seasons ahead for us. But if we draft 7th overall, I should say with the 7th overall pick, there's 4 guys that I'm really looking forward to hopefully drafting, and there's 3 guys that I'm really locking in on. I'm going to go from 4 to 1 because I've ranked these guys. My number 4 is a middle infielder from West Virginia, and that's J.J. Weatherholt. Now, J.J., this is one of those picks. I didn't really want to put him in my top 3, so I didn't. But I still wanted to make sure I talk about him because I think there's a legitimate chance that we pick him with that 7th pick. He spent 3 years at West Virginia. His freshman year, 5 homers, 39 RBIs. That doesn't jump off the board, but a 3.08 average, a 4.11 on-base percentage, and a 4.71 slug, leading to an 8.82 OPS. His sophomore year, the power increased. 16 homers, 60 RBIs, had 36 stolen bases, a 4.49 average, a 517 on base percentage, and a 787 slug, leading to a 1304 OPS, an outstanding season by Weatherholt. Now, his junior year, this past season, came down a little bit in his numbers. 8 homers, 30 RBIs, a 331 average, 472 on base percentage, a 589 slug, and a 1061 OPS. Why is he not higher on my list? He's not as high as these other 3 guys because he's a middle infielder and he's 5'10", 190 pounds. If this is a middle infielder that was 6'2", 210 pounds, be a different story, because that means in the future you could move him at third base. He does not strike me as a guy with a lot of power, and so that means a very good hitting, average hitter, getting on base, second baseman, shortstop. Mason Wynn's not going anywhere, and you have Brendan Donovan, Nolan Gorman, Tommy Edman, Cesar Prieto, Thomas JC, all of these guys in the mix. I mean, shoot, Nick Dunn's batting 350 in AAA right now. We have about 6 different options for middle infielder at the middle infield spot. So that's the last position I'm looking at. That along with left-handed outfielders, because good Lord, we have so many of those. So he is 4th on my list. I wanted to mention him because I think there's a chance we do draft him, but he is definitely a guy that I mean, he's going to be a great player, but I just don't think he fits our need for the Cardinals. My number 3 guy. My number 3 guy is the starting pitcher for Wake Forest. That's Chase Burns. Chase Burns, an outstanding last season. The season before wasn't as good, but this last season, 100 innings, 191 strikeouts. He's got electric stuff. His fastball reaches 100 miles per hour. He's 6'4", 210 pounds. He gives the vibes that he's going to be a closer. That's why he's 3rd on my list instead of 2nd or 1st. But he's got the body to be a horse in your rotation. Like I said, 6'4", 210 pounds. It's just the matter of, can they keep him healthy? Now, there's one other team that's really interested in him, and that's the Colorado Rockies. If he is not drafted by the Rockies, he should be available for us. That's how I kind of view this. It's if they pick him, obviously he's going to be there. But I'm saying if they don't pick him, I think he falls to us. I think there's a definite chance. He's one of those guys that the Rockies are very high on, and other teams have already, the A's and the Royals already kind of have an idea of what they're going to pick from what we know. Now it could be all different in house, but as far as we know, he's, like I said, he's got electric stuff though. I think he could be an absolute horse in a rotation, a number 2 starter. I don't view him as a number 1 guy, or he could just be a lights out closer. So that's why he's number 3 on my list, because I want a guy that, if I'm going to draft a guy 7th overall, I want a starting pitcher. I don't want a closer with that pick. Now, Hagen Smith is my number 2 guy out of Arkansas. He's a lefty starting pitcher. Last year went 10-1. Let me make sure this is right here. No, that was Chase Burns. Chase Burns last year, I should mention this real quick. 10-1 with a 2.70 ERA last year. Hagen Smith, in his 84 innings of work, had 161 strikeouts. That's almost 2 strikeouts per inning. And then he went 9-2 with a 2.04 ERA. His 2 years prior to this weren't great, especially ERA-wise. But Hagen Smith, going into now his 21-year-old season, he's a guy that I think could make it up here pretty quickly. He reminds me of a Cooper Jerpy, Chris Sale mix, where he's got a kind of funky delivery from the left side. His fastball reaches 96, 97, wipeout slider. He's one of those guys, you look at him and you can picture him in a Cardinals uniform. He just kind of has that look to him. And I could definitely see us going this route. Now, just as Chase Burns is very liked by the Colorado Rockies, Hagen Smith is very liked by the Kansas City Royals, who have the 6th pick. So, in my opinion, same thing applies. If Hagen Smith is not picked by the Royals, I don't think anybody picks him up in the top 5, which leads him to being available at number 7 for us. And to be honest, he's the guy that I personally think we do draft. Not the number 1 guy that I want to draft, but I do believe Hagen Smith will be a Cardinal by Sunday. That's just my opinion on it. But my number 1 guy, and I've been waiting for this, Hagen Smith these last few weeks, I haven't talked about it on the pod, but he was my number 1. guy I was keeping an eye on, but that has changed to number 2 because my number 1 guy now is the 6'5", 250-pound first baseman out of Wake Forest. That's Nick Kurtz. Nick Kurtz, let me break down these stats to you. Eye-popping is one way to describe it. A big, powerful guy being 6'5". He has spent 3 years at Wake Forest in the ACC. His first year as a freshman, 15 homers, 56 RBIs. He batted .338 with a .471 on base percentage, a .637 slug, and a .1108 OPS as a freshman. It only gets better. His sophomore year, 24 homers, 69 RBIs, batted .353 with a .527 on base percentage, a .784 slug, and a .1311 OPS. His junior year, 2024, this past season, 22 homers, 57 RBIs, a .306 average, a .531 on base percentage, a .673 slug, and a .1294 OPS. Unbelievable numbers. Let's take a look at his averages for these past 3 seasons. His averages: a .333 batting average, a .510 on base percentage, meaning over half the time he bats, he gets on base, a .725 slug, and a .1235 OPS. This is a perfect guy to come in after Paul Goldschmidt retires or gets moved elsewhere. Nick Kurtz has got power. His swing reminds me of Jim Thome whenever I see it. He gets on base at a high clip, which screams power on base, which screams Kyle Schwarber. But the thing is that makes him different than Kyle Schwarber, because some people are turned away from that due to strikeouts. This guy doesn't strike out. He doesn't strike out. 48 walks his freshman year, 38 strikeouts. 63 walks his sophomore year, 50 strikeouts. This past season, 78 walks, 40 strikeouts. He doesn't strike out. He's got power. He hits for average. He gets on base. He hits for slug. He has a great OPS, over 1,000 every year of his college career. Nick Kurtz better be a Cardinal this Sunday. Now, the only reason why I don't believe he will be is I think the Oakland A's, with the 5th pick or 4th pick, I think they're locked in on Nick Kurtz. Or that Caglione guy from Florida. I think either way they get a first baseman there. But Nick Kurtz, if he falls, I'm praying for it now. Nick Kurtz falls at 7th overall because he's a good-looking guy. He has a little flash to him, has a lot of power. It just screams superstar to me. A 3-4 hitter that's going to get 30 homers and 100 RBIs for 10, 15 years. That's what it screams to me. Because a lot of these power guys don't have great plate discipline, plate coverage, and he has all of it. He has absolutely all of it. So hopefully Nick Kurtz falls to the 7th overall pick. But like I said, Nick Kurtz, Hagen Smith, Chase Burns, and even if we draft J.J. Weatherholt, I won't hate it. But those top 3 guys are who I'm really locked in on. Number 1 being Nick Kurtz. I'm very excited for hopefully a Nick Kurtz jersey that I will be getting. But hopefully this upcoming Monday I will be recapping a Nick Kurtz Cardinals draft pick or Hagen Smith. Hopefully it's one of those 2 guys. I'm really locked in on those 2. But Chase Burns has got some flash to him. He'd be fun to have too. But anyway, we're going to be covering the Cardinals Cup Series on Monday, a recap of the MLB Draft. So thank you guys for listening to this. Go watch the Cubs versus the Cardinals this weekend. If you can make it out to a game, go do that before the All-Star break. And then we will see you guys again on Monday. I'm going to obviously see you guys on Instagram and TikTok throughout the weekend with some videos that I will be posting. So make sure to go follow over there on those platforms. If you listen to this episode on Spotify, make sure to rate us 5-star over there and give us a follow on that. And then make sure to always like and subscribe on YouTube if you're viewing me right there. And if you're watching on YouTube right now, I do have to let you know, thank you for watching. But also, this white wall behind me, we are working on getting those jerseys up on the wall instead of just sitting on the couch, because the white wall behind me, it's messing with me. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. But thank you guys for listening and viewing, and I will see you guys on Monday. Go Cardinals. Let's hopefully get a series win this weekend versus the Chicago Cubs.